NLC is set to meet with the federal government to review their memorandum of understanding again concerning the palliative and other things that is submitted to the federal government to meet up before the 1st of November. Also, we are seeing that the River State lawmakers have actually issued an impeachment to the governor of the state, pending some rumor that actually started previously. And today, out of the 32 members of the House, about 24 of them have voted him out. So he have been served with the notice of impeachment. So just follow us as we go through the story. And the program is Nigeria Now, where we look at some of the things happening right away in Nigeria. I am Stella Elisha Lashim, and I'll be doing the program together with Rachel Tansey. Good afternoon, Rachel.
Afternoon, Stella.
All right, let us go straight into the program. Remember, you can follow us live on Facebook and on YouTube. Drop your comment also on any of the story that you think is of interest to you this afternoon. And we will be starting with the issue of the NLC. We will recall, Richard, that on the 3rd of October, NLC were actually planning to go on a strike, and after the back and forth we saw whereby NLC said okay, they're giving the federal government another 30 days to actually look into some of the things they submitted, and that was when they went to the to as far as actually signing a memorandum of understanding with the federal government, and that is to say the federal government has promised to meet some of the need. And we will record that even in the budget that the president is going to be submitting, he actually captured some of the things that the NLC actually submitted, and I think about 2.1 trillion naira has been allocated particularly to meet some of the needs that the NLC met. Now we're saying that on 1st of November, NLC are planning to start with Imo State because they mentioned the fact that there are some of the demands of Imo State where the governor of that state have failed to meet, and it is important that when workers do something, I mean, a worker demand his wages. I mean, it's his right, so he should be giving his wages. And we also see the NLC are saying that they are hoping that the Minister of Labor and Employment will not be present because based on the previous meeting they have been having with him, they saw the fact that he's unable to meet some of their demands. So, I mean, the last meeting they had was in the office of the Chief of Staff, which is Femi Bajabiamila, and they are hoping to meet again in his office today. And so they said they do not want to have any meeting with the Minister of Labor, and it tells for question of his how honest he is for the NLC to say they do not want to meet with him. And quite a number of things that Labor are hoping. There was a time you and I were talking on the fact that, I mean, why announce that you're not going to let the federal government know when you're going on strike? But we've seen that for the past 1 week, they have been, flashing it one day, just to let the federal government know that your days are fast spent. I mean, today is the 30th, so tomorrow, I guess, is the last day they will be having anything to federal government. If they do not meet their demand, from the 1st of November, starting with Imo State, they will be going to that, the strike. And some of the things, Rachel, permit me to mention some of the things NLC said concerning the governor of Imo State, which I think is very important, is the fact that they outlined some of the infraction against the workers of Imo State, where they said that the governor refused to implement previous agreement, especially according to the reach on January 9, 2021. And some of the things they say: outstanding salary arrears for about 20 months, unjust declaration of workers as ghost workers, and then declaration of pensioners as ghost workers and unsettled gratuity arrears, among others. And then according to the chairman that's talking about Ajero, he also said approximately 10,000 pensioners have been wrongly labeled as gold pensioners, resulting in over 22 months of unpaid pensions, while about 11,000 workers have been branded by the Imo State government as ghost workers. Now we see that this is really sad, Richard. We've been having a number of governors coming out to say, yes, we are having ghost workers. But looking at this number, 10,000 pensioners are being labeled as ghost workers, and then 11,000 workers are being mentioned as good workers. This tells a lot about how the governor of the state, I mean, there have been reports coming in about Hope Ozundima and the way he has been treating workers, and they were seeing many more. So I just want to hear your own take about the way NLC is going about this, and then also looking at the governor of Imo State on his own, the way he has been treating workers. We are looking at some of these things that NLC have mentioned, saying the fact that they are not going to have any dialogue anymore. I mean, they have mentioned what they want, and it is important that the government meets all of their needs and wants.
I mean, Stella, when it comes to the issue of the NLCs threatening or going on strike, it's long overdue. And I clearly remember asking a question that what does the NLC think the government of Nigeria can do for them in 30 days that they didn't do in 120 days? Because it's not now that we've started this whole issue, this whole back and forth concerning ultimatum, bringing out your memorandum of understanding, bringing out the things that you want for the government to do for you. The question is, you've been giving them long ropes. It's 2 weeks, it's 4 weeks, it's 8 weeks,
21 days,
20 exactly, and nothing have happened, and you're giving them 30 days, and this time around it's 15 things that they have to do between 30 days, and we are looking at over 120 days of nothing being done ever since fuel subsidy removal and all the turmoil in the economy. And then the question still remains is that how long will you keep going all this back and forth with the government without taking the necessary industrial act? Because Imo is one state. It might look like their problem is a lot and plenty, but a lot of states are also going through the same. Perhaps Imo's zone happens to be very unique. I mean, 22 months, 20 months of unpaid salaries, declaring pensioners as ghost workers sounds not acceptable at any other level. But we're seeing same for Gombe State, we're seeing Osun State. They're all threats saying that they will also go on this strike exactly at whatever level, and this can happen at any other state and whatever level. Now the question is, we see the government saying we've ordered this, we've ordered this, we know what implementation means. And this is the problem in the system. Implementation is you and I, sit down today and say, you know what, by 6 a.m., every 6 a.m., we are going to take a walk to terminus, for example. So it's expected that by Monday morning, we wake up 6 a.m. and go to terminus. If we sit down and just give an order that there should be somebody going to terminus, or you give an order that this should happen, or we sit down 6 a.m. and we just deliberate the more about going to terminus without actually standing up and going to that terminus, nothing will be done. And that is what implementation is all about. It's not you ordering. It's about workers seeing their salaries with 35,000 naira in it. That is when we will say the government have implemented what they say they will do. So it's not enough for the government to say, I've given an order, I have signed this. No. It doesn't change anything, because we keep seeing the president making promises, but it's not acting out. And this, at this point, I believe that Labour is supposed to say, enough is enough of all of this, because it's not only about this 35,000 naira, but what about pilots that are not rolling out? We're yet to see the rights that the federal government have promised. At the state government level, nothing. What about the millions of households that they are supposed to get 25,000 naira? When is it going to start rolling out? Because if you're looking at just civil workers, what about other Nigerians that could benefit? We're looking at the poorest of poor here, benefiting from palliative sent to household from the federal government. So I believe that the NLC should be at the point of saying enough is enough. But I won't be surprised if tomorrow the NLC gives the federal government another 60 days. I won't be surprised if there's this back and forth still going on January 2024, February, March, April, until Nigerians just come to terms with the fact that, you know what, this is our situation in the country. Nothing is going to change. Nothing is going to happen. Let's just brace this hardship. And we've also seen that for sure the federal government is doing a lot concerning the fiscal and the monetary policies. We're seeing new policies coming from the Ministry of Finance. We're seeing coming from the president. We're seeing the CBN working concerning forex liquidity, inflows, and all of that. So I believe that, well, the federal government is doing long-term things. But I think NLC is bent on the immediate response and help to a common Nigerian, which the government is failing clearly at it.
When you mention about the long term, part of the thing NLC also mentioned is the fact that the government is responsible for the naira fall. Looking at the fact that our naira keep depreciating, they're talking about us having a stable economy where you can actually go to the market in the morning, Rachel, and then you are being told that the good is actually 500, and then in the evening it's still 500 naira.
Yes.
Not you going to ask and then it is 500, and then the next 2 minutes before you go pick something and come back is now 550 naira.
Yeah.
We've seen that has been happening. They mentioned the fact that, let's take a look at, the Senate are bent on making sure that they buy the SUV, and those are foreign cars. What happened to actually patronizing goods in Nigeria? Maybe to some extent we'll see that our naira will be stable. Why? Because we are patronizing locally made goods. How about the opening of our borders to about 43 items that we really cannot tell about? A lot of foreign things are actually circulating right now, and you really cannot tell much. So I think the NLC actually have the right to ask certain questions, because it is the responsibility of the NLC. This is a union that have been recognized by the government to ask them questions. When you fail to do certain things, they should actually ask you questions. In as much as NLC mostly or basically represent government workers, but I think it is very, very imperative that the government should give right answer. Just like you say, you won't be surprised if they give additional 60 days. The federal government is yet, the president is yet to submit his budget to the NLC to NAS. So you begin to tell that, well, they might actually tell them to wait, let us see what the National Assembly will say about the budget. And they're hoping that the 2.1 trillion naira that he added, that will be given concerning the palliative, and then they're looking at making sure that our refineries are being fixed, and many other things that the NLC asks the government. So we hope to hear answers from that. Now, you will remember, okay, Rachel, let's close it on the fact that Rivers State, they tend to be a lot of drama. You ask the question that when did this governor get to sit, and already he's been issued with an impeachment notice coming from the lawmaker. We will recall that even though we're yet to get a tangible reason for why the lawmakers want to actually impeach the governor, but there have been rumors that possibly there have been a conflict or a rift between the former governor, which happened to be the FCT minister, Nyesom Wike, and also the present governor, Fubara. Now you begin to ask, what really is the problem? We begin to have lawmakers, as it is right now, the aid is actually on suspension. And then you begin to ask, what is happening in Rivers State as it is? This is a state that a lot of people had eyes on. This was a state where people were admiring. When we had the former governor there, he was able to put a lot of things on order. And we're beginning to see that right now, the governor is being issued. In fact, as of yesterday, there were a lot of chaos till this morning, tear gas, and then the governor was even saying that, security operative actually directed gunshots at him, and he really do not know what he have done to be issued with impeachment. And you ask the question, so why do we now have the fact that we're seeing a particular arm of government is getting and then allowing the executive to actually influence the decision they take? We really cannot tell. We were looking at the issue of the presidential election judgment, where a lot of people feel that the judiciary is being corrupt. And right now we're having a question of what is it that the executive have done that the legislative actually say, you know what, we don't need your service anymore. Please leave the seat and let us have another. That is to say that if, with the way things are happening right now, Rachel, maybe we'll be having another by-election in Rivers State soon.
Stella, early today we saw the ranking of rule of law in Nigeria. We are like at the bottom. It means we barely have rule of law functioning in this country. And then this is a clear example of where we don't have rule of law, because it appears clearly that politics is above governance in Nigeria, because this feels and looks, smells like politics, nothing more, and not governance. Because when there is an impeachment, there should be concrete reasons, and that is what we're expecting from the State House at Rivers. Why are you serving your governor an impeachment notice? It's supposed to be clearly out there. It's politics if the impeachment should come before the reasons, because there have to be reasons. There have to be a deliberation by the House before an impeachment. In fact, the governor is supposed to come and defend himself in case of any allegation. This is how democracy plays. This is how governance plays. We see this in leading governance in the world. When a president or governor, whatever political position you hold, and there are allegations against you that can lead to your impeachment, you're being called by the House at whatever level, be it Senate, House, be it at the government and the state government House of Representatives. You're being called and you're being probed, you're being asked. And until investigation is being done and there are proof and all of that, before there will be a move for impeachment. But we are seeing the opposite here in Nigeria, where a governor is being impeached. He doesn't know why, and we're not even seeing the House giving us concrete list with evidence to why a governor is being impeached and why security operatives will fire at your serving governor is a notice of impeachment. And even at that, he is still a top level personality in the state. Why would you, in his state, is a notice he haven't been impeached? And even if he has been impeached, even a hardened criminal shouldn't be fired at for whatsoever reason when the person is not armed. So why are we playing with politics? And if the speculation is that there is a rift or a feud between him and the FCT minister, the former governor, then it proves more that this is politics in play. Because as far as I'm concerned, Nyesom Wike has no stay anymore except for godfatherism, which is still politics at play, has no business with the affairs of Rivers State, because he's no longer the governor. He is serving at a ministerial position. He is now at the federal government level of Nigeria. Therefore, his business is with the federal government of Nigeria. But still yet, you can still see politics playing, meddling with governance in Nigeria, and it feels, of course, like politics is more powerful than governance, whereas that shouldn't be the case. So whatever is the reason in Rivers State, we believe that the House should come out with concrete reasons and evidence. And even for the House leader that has been impeached, that is a he, with just assumptions also and speculation of loyalty to the governor. You are supposed to be loyal to your governor, because don't we have House members who are in the same party or caucus with the governor? So why would assumed loyalty to a governor lead to the impeachment of a member in the House? It doesn't make sense. So no wonder we are ranked so low when it comes to rule of law, because we see that power is at play over governance. It feels like it's just politics that is the order of the day. No wonder people go into it by all means in the country, and we are left with leaders that have no drive whatsoever to take Nigeria to the next level, but rather are just power drunk and want to show that they can do and undo. Exactly,
Rachel, and that's a question of separation of powers, where you know where your power lies, because believe me, where your power starts is where somebody's power finishes. And I think it's important we know that. I had to take my mind back to what the president told the ministers, that you are a minister for Nigeria, not a minister for your state. And I believe that it truly is based on whatever issue the present serving governor is having with the former governor. I think it's high time that they take their personal problem out of governance. Because we cannot have you play with the governance of a state based on whatever issue you are having. So we'll keep following the story closely, because details are still unfolding, and we hope that we'll be able to go to the end of this matter eventually to see why the governor was being issued that notice. Thank you so much, Rachel, for doing this with me. Thank you to our viewers for keeping a day with us on Nigeria Now. Until we come again, do have a blessed day ahead.